Oh, one of the small ones. How many lumens?
Oh, you asking questions I don't know. I know how to plug it in and make it work.
I have to carry one that's footprint's about 2 inches bigger, but it's thicker,
Yeah,
and that's 1,000 lumens.
I bet you got the same here.
Should give you the technical specs in the,
And on the disc,
Over,
probably.
yeah.
And probably on the disc.
well, no, on the install, usually they'll give you technical.
And the warranty. And what other, there's a warranty. You decide what language you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just a quick start guide.
Yeah.
Don, no one here?
And the gentleman's, they just arrived. So yeah, you can show me again, table, go to.
Yeah, it kind of looks like,
I'm sorry, Catherine, the network, is
It's
it
Lake,
Lake Card 2?
yes, 102, either one.
Is it secure? Or-
And then, the password is, North Shore, capital N, 99,
One word?
yes.
I don't, this machine doesn't use that cable, so. Gene, what's the cable that runs from the back of your projector to your computer?
Either a DV15
Something like that.
or a USB.
Which is use either. I think up there,
Well,
Gene, you sound like you're real technical.
I don't see.
I'm a propeller, yeah, it's a
I don't
DV15.
see DB, yeah, I don't see a USB.
DB15, that's
Yeah.
what it's called? Okay.
Yeah,
Dan boy,
and you need, mail. Well, hold it.
not for mine, for just a regular. I don't wanna use these, I mean, because,
Oh, okay.
well, yeah, whatever computer it is, right? It's just gonna go back into the back of the
Yeah.
computer, so. Mail,
DV15.
Mail.
Yeah.
a mail plug.
Yeah.
Mail has the prongs on it. Female just has the,
DB15.
And what do you think, Gene? 9 feet? Because if it's
We
here,
can put a table
And you
there.
got a table there
or
for presenters.
somebody be sitting here, so you want it to have, you wanna have enough.
Yeah.
So 12 feet, 15 feet?
12, 15, probably 15 would be good.
15.
Better to have too much than not enough.
Exactly.
We'll do that.
I'm
Hello, gentlemen.
a consultant, thank you.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Is that Jose? Right?
Certainly sounds like it.
Hey, guys.
You got email?
Email, I have those emails. You can
Yeah,
do
just
that.
tell them that Diane and I are gonna go over earlier.
Oh, yeah, I did see that one.
We're looking at.
All good, thank you, Dave.
Hi, I'm Debbie Pendon. Nice to
I don't
meet
Diane
you.
for everything. Organized me one, two, this lot of stuff was like out of position. And I need to go over a few things, and I wrote some notes, I
Oh, good.
keep my memory
Okay.
again when I go over it, so.
No, but you know what?
And Pete, we have time after this, do you do it quickly?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Catherine? No, don't come. When you come
Okay,
back.
I know it.
Hi, I'm Debbie Pendon with First Service. Debbie.
Debbie, Don, very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Don.
They're looking at this economy cover, their platform and posting and then the Debbie.
Did you get anything about that?
Yeah.
Did you just want to put something?
And you do have a homeowner that wants to make some comments.
Good. Do you want to make it before we start or after we start?
Oh, no, all to order,
We're gonna wait for Catherine to come up.
not a problem.
She's just making copies of the financial report. Do I can move, is Mr. Pina coming?
Yeah, he's good right there. Why don't you sit here so
And yours.
I'll be here and walk around and have a Debbie.
Remember Randall's phone number?
I thought it was.
I thought he was too. I know John's not.
I
You
thought
wanna text him?
Yeah, I thought we'd get something going Friday, Saturday or something like that.
Okay, it is 2:10 on, what's today's date?
Thursday, the 31st.
Thursday, the 31st. I call this meeting to order. We have a quorum. We have 3 out of 5 board members attending, Don, Mark, and myself. First thing on the agenda, do we have an agenda besides accounts payable?
It's right there, okay.
Are we approving the, are we gonna approve the minutes from the last one?
Hey, Catherine?
Yes, sir.
I don't think it's, I didn't grab my envelope.
You have it. Well, this is the only thing that we have, sir.
Yeah, it's on there, Dave. So we can,
Good, okay.
We have a little chance.
Good, the minutes of
Okay,
the,
back to the last
the
meeting.
minutes of the July 24th regular board meeting were attached. Any comments and changes I had were submitted to Catherine earlier in the week. So any discussion on the July 24th board minutes? Any corrections?
The only thing on mine, if you put the title in there. What else? Minor issue.
Don is treasurer. Okay, we'll reflect that, Don. Any other changes, Mr. King? Nope. Is there a motion to approve the board minutes from July 24th?
Make a motion that we accept the minutes.
I second the motion.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any discussion? Minutes are approved with the change of Don Zaremba to treasurer. Okay. Super. Gene, we do, as you know, homeowner comments early in the meeting, so you don't have to wait all day?
And approach.
Oh, of course.
Okay. I'll try and stay within the 3 minutes. There has been unauthorized use of my signature and one additional director's signature for the amount of $58,934.30 on the accounts payable checks. My signature was not authorized to be placed on any of these accounts payable checks. The date on the checks were dated June 24th, 2014. They were done between June 24th and June 30th. All of those checks were then sent to specific individuals. In the month of July, there were also checks issued in my name and in another director's name, and I don't know how much money that is because the accounting records are not available. Basically, what had occurred was that the accounts payable were being handled in such a fashion that you had to have 2 signatures. There was only one person that was reelected to the board that had signing authority, and that was John Baker. John Baker didn't say a thing at the organization meeting. He also did not utter or make any type of a discussion at the meeting this past week. And basically what we're looking at is unauthorized use of signatures, electronic signatures. I deal with financial fraud on a daily basis. That's what my consulting practice, or part of my consulting practice, is involved. Now, when this was brought to my attention over the weekend, I contacted my attorney on Monday and filed a police report on Monday. And basically what we're looking at here is unauthorized use and uttering of checks. So you've got forgery and you also have uttering of checks. So the fiduciary responsibility of at least one director was not met. Now, to handle the accounts payable in an interim situation, 1, there was no motion to approve or authorize the deposits to begin with when the board transitioned. There was no signature cards or depository resolutions available so that they could be transactioned. That's not, in my opinion, the board's fault. We should have prepared for that, knowing full well that in fact, those issues did or could arise, especially with a new organization. Last but far from least, because we did have one authorized signer, I would expect that any of the directors, if they were contacted, would have approved the accounts payable and authorized the use of their electronic signature. Because I wasn't contacted, because I did not or was not authorized or requested to sign, it's a forgery and it's misuse of my signature. Now, during the candidates night, I made comments that I was bonded and surety bonded for a lot of money. I am. And when something like this occurs and something happens, it can affect my bonding. It can also affect my employment. And this is why I brought it to the board's attention. Fiduciary responsibility has not been met. Is there exposure? I don't know. I don't know that any of the checks were not properly issued to anybody. They could be uttered to proper payables, but the signatures ring valid. It's that simple. Any questions?
How did you find out that someone did this?
One of the people that received an accounts payable check called me.
So do we know who did it? Electronically signed it?
Oh, certainly, it went through the normal payables process that Gene is very aware of. Vetted out as invoices come in that have been approved, being paid by the board, either through budget approval or through special projects that are being done. The approval process is that it goes through the manager. She processes it now in our new system called Avid. And because those signatures were still on file and hadn't been removed, those checks, when they were cut, those signatures were automatically put on file. I can assure the board that there was no intention to fraud Mr. Smith or Mrs. Meester in doing that. It was just an oversight in the fact that those signature cards didn't get done in a timely fashion and their names be removed. If we would have certainly been aware that that was going to happen in the transition, we would have sought permission from those two owners and the board, two members and the board, to allow those checks to run so we could make payables. We are moving forward to get them off, which we have stopped check payments to this point. We have signature cards here that are to be signed by the three members that are here, and then we'll get the other signatures immediately. It certainly was.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
It certainly was not intentional. There certainly was no even thought of fraud or misuse or miscut. The check requests are available in your financial packages. First Service has done a complete review of it, even to the point where we're looking at adding, you guys as signatures. It didn't happen the day of the election, which normally it does. Unfortunately, I wasn't here. Not saying that it would have been done if I was here. It was an oversight. I would like to offer to the board that we send out an apology letter to the two previous board members that were on signature, and that First Service will, make good any incidences that come from it, and that we'll have the new signature cards. But as of this date, no checks will be cut until we have the new signature cards on file.
There's only one problem. As a former banker, I sign my name a particular way when I'm signing negotiable instruments. I sign my name a different way when I sign signature cards. And I sign my signature a third way when I am signing documents that would be delivered to a customer. That is my normal practice. None of those signatures on those checks are proper facsimile signatures.
Well, Mr. Jean, Mr. Smith, I will assure you that nobody signed your those signatures were electronic. We'll pull out, if we need to, at the board's direction, if we feel we need to defend any case for Mr. Smith, we'll pull out every check that we've ever done his electronic signature on it, and I'll assure you they'll all be the same. Because nobody has access to our checks except South Florida. Their cutoff machine and the same digital signature is the same one that's always been used. And as a regional director from our accounting department, she can comment to that, but I don't, the issue is certainly their signatures were used after they had left the board, should not have happened, we take full responsibility, but there's certainly no fraud involved, and we'll do whatever we have to as a company to make sure that those are corrected. We'll address any police reports or litigation that they wanna bring toward us, but First Service will make sure that that's handled properly.
So, Mr. Smith, what would you like us to do for you?
Right now, I turned it over to the police.
Okay.
Their financial crime unit has not contacted me yet. I don't know what the recourse is right now, but basically, because this did occur and there is unauthorized use, you know, it's, the conduct was not completely above board.
I agree with that, but I'm still not quite sure what you want us to do.
You can do nothing, okay? Right now, the situation that we're looking at is that, basically, I have turned it over to the sheriff's department. I need to talk with the detectives there in the financial crime unit. I just wanted to put you folks on notice.
Mr. Smith has to hold your comments, we've lost quorum, so as soon as he returns, we can continue with the meeting.
By the way, Randall will be here about 25 minutes.
Okay, great.
So, we'll be good.
Don, do you have a tablet or a laptop with you?
Yeah, I got a iPad with
Oh,
me.
perfect, okay. I think that'd be useful when we get into the audit training.
Okay.
So everybody, I wanna make sure everybody can log in and use your user ID and password.
We got the internet? I can
Yes.
take some time now.
Lake Shore. Lake Park, no,
Lake
Lake
Park.
Park, 1 or 2.
Alright, give me a second here. What, North Shore Lake Current Office?
Yes, and then the password is North Shore capital N 99.
I did
What
Lake
we
Park
do with the-
too.
You did Lake Park too?
With her too.
I think that the office
And
was
it's
not.
North Shore capital N.
Okay, we have reestablished quorum, we can continue with the meeting. Sorry for the interruption.
Thank you.
Your comments, sir?
I have turned it over to financial, or to a deputy who has referred it to financial crimes. That's where we stand right now. Until I have talked with them, you know, I had nothing else to offer near term.
Just wanna ask you, all the checks they get electronic stamp on them? So it come from First Services office?
Not my office in Altamont, our corporate office down in South Florida, Hollywood.
When the process
Account there.
starts to initiate a check, how long does it take, a week or so? Or is it like a day, 6 hours, 4 hours? I mean, how quick is it to turn these out?
We process checks once a week. So the invoice could have been submitted on a Monday.
So it could be submitted like the 22nd, and by the time everything got approved, it was the 26th. You guys may not know we had the election in that office, when the checks went out.
For the first check run, that's true, but subsequent check runs,
Up to the 30th, and it's,
then it should have been Tuesday. There's no denying it.
okay.
So we'll continue to provide information to the board, but we internally have it stopped. And like I said, we have signature cards, and then as the matters come up, we'll address it based on the direction of the board. And certainly we'll advise, First Service Council to make sure that they're aware of what's going on.
Gene, your comments are noted. There was a full transition of the board. Everything wasn't immediately available to do it. We apologize for the issue issue this may have caused you, and it should be corrected near immediately. We have the new signature card today.
Well, with this new signature cards and the depository resolutions and filing, one recommendation I might make is that motions be made for the depository resolutions, because every once in a while, financial institution may request a copy of the resolution from the minute.
Duly noted. I think you as a banker know that some of this stuff takes a little bit of time, and to have everyone here to do a single signature card. I think I sat in on your board meetings and it took a bit of a while too to get everyone on. We apologize. I hope it didn't cause you a whole lot of trouble.
So far, no issue. But I am vetted frequently and regularly because of my position.
Well, I think Danny has made a very sincere coverage. If there's any issues that do arise from this, First Service will be responsible. There is no fraudulent intent on this. It was to keep the association running until we can switch over to signature cards. I don't think there's any ill will by anybody. There's certainly no fraud in place, and we apologize for whatever grief it caused you. Is there anything to add to that? Okay. Thank you.
So we have, no updates from the committee, so old business, we just have the one, ACR, Associated Capital Recovery.
I think the last, we were gonna put that on hold, waiting for further information from them, as well as, future dialogue on whether we retain an attorney to do collections or use a combination of either of them as a test.
Right.
So, that motion has no more discussion today. I think we're all looking for more discovery and trying to make a long-term decision. New business?
If it's okay with the board, by way of introduction, I'd like to second on this one.
Please, absolutely. Thank you, Danny.
Very fortunate to have with us Debbie Penton, she's Regional Director for Client Accounting. She and I have been working together for 2.5 years, for service together, and I've never come across anybody else that can explain First Service financials and provide support, backup, and even thought processes on the best way for us to interpret and read and understand our financials. So very, very happy for her to be here and take the time out to do it. I do know that she has another meeting scheduled tonight, so hopefully we can get through this by 4 o'clock-ish. I think it's her time frame that she needs to leave, but I know she's prepared to answer any questions you have. And Debbie, I'm gonna turn the floor over to you and let you.
Oh, I was enjoying the introduction. I mean, it was like, wow.
Let's
like,
check on copies.
But as Danny said, my name is Debbie Penton. I'm a regional director for First Service Residential on the accounting side of it. So really, my role is more of a liaison between our team and our managers and our regional directors and our board members, and then the support team in our processing center on the accounting side. So really, any questions that you have related to our processes, how do we put your financials together, or all the way to, you've got a project coming up, and from an accounting perspective, we'd like to just have a chat about it, certainly I'm always available for that. And I think today, since, I guess, is everybody new on the board? Really? Okay, perfect. So I think this is a great opportunity for us to go through the financials and really, for me to take this opportunity to answer any questions that you may have and give you some insight as to really what this little tiny slim little package that you receive every month, what it all contains. I have to say that this is probably, I think it might be the biggest financial package that I have seen in a very long time. It can range from 40 pages all the way to 100 and change, but I think that this one's probably gonna, make my bag a little bit heavier. So I'd like to take the opportunity to go through the financial package and answer any questions.
We're finalizing the copies.
Okay,
Should be a
perfect.
few more minutes.
No problem. And also, as Danny mentioned very briefly, we have an accounts payable processing system by the name of Avid that we have partnered with recently. So this is, I think, a perfect opportunity for us to introduce the current board members to that system, because this is an effort to be paperless as well as to become more efficient in the processing. Everything is, for the most part, done electronically. The beauty of that is that you can access the system 24/7, the convenience of your home. If you're on vacation, as long as you've got internet access, you could still be approving invoices. And this is the process, for the most part, is going to be paperless. If somebody actually wanted to see, a hard copy of a check or an invoice, that's always, still available if we needed a check to come in here for a wet signature. But for the most part, it is going to all be electronic. And I like to make sure that everybody can log in and go through the process and the steps that the board would take to review those invoices and approve those invoices, okay? So hopefully that's what we are going to accomplish today, and that's why I'm glad that those of you that brought your tablets or your laptops, I think it'd be good for you to be able to log in. Yeah, so let me, while your packages get here, let me kind of start talking a little bit about the financial package. And from a, general perspective, the First Service Residential, we prepare the financial statements of the association in what it's called accrual basis accounting. So, in plain English, that really means we record your revenues as they are earned, not necessarily as we're collecting from the homeowners. So what you see on your income statement on the revenue line is not necessarily the cash that has come in, though that would be great. It actually is what the association has earned, what has been billed out to the homeowners and earned in that particular month. The same thing on the expense side, we record the expenses when they are incurred, not necessarily when they're paid out to the vendors. So what that means is that if an invoice was received today, but it didn't get paid until 2 weeks from now in the month of August, we're still recording that expense in the month of July, because that's when the expense was incurred. In some cases, we don't get invoices from vendors exactly in the month in which the expense took place. Utilities is a very common one, or maybe our payroll invoice or something like that, where it gets billed in arrears. We're going to accrue for it, meaning we're going to estimate the amount if we don't know exactly what it is, and we're going to show the expense in the particular month in which it was incurred, and it shows up on the balance sheet as a payable. Oftentimes I get the conversation about, okay, well that's great, but it doesn't really give me real numbers, because I still want to know what money we have collected and what money we have spent. And the beauty of accrual basis is that accrual basis gives you the full picture. We actually provide that information in your financial package. And I'll walk you through the reports that provide you that information in a somewhat quick way. The importance of preparing accrual basis financials is that it does show you all of these other elements that may not come to mind right away. Who owes us money? Who do we owe money to? And at the end of the day, from a cumulative perspective, how much equity have we accumulated as an association? And of course, we are a non-for-profit organization, but we have to have some sort of working capital in order to fund our projects and deal with things, and just be prepared for the oops that happens in real life. And of course, our auditors also like to make sure that we're booking things on an accrual basis, because that's what they're required to do from GAAP, generally accepted accounting principles. So if I start with the package, everybody has the package?
It's 3/4 of the way complete. There's another small stack. We'll bring it to you when it comes down.
Which is fine, and please do not be alarmed. I will not go page by page. I will go, for the first few pages, I'll go page by page, and then we're gonna fast forward, and then I will actually just pull out a couple of things and tell you, if you're looking for this is the report that you would go to, and then the rest of it is when you are having a sleepless night, or if you just have a really inquisitive mind, okay? That's what this is there for. I mean, as a matter of fact, you get this electronically. I mean, I look at it online, I don't print it usually, and even when I am printing it, you know, the beauty of it is I can say print page 1, 5, and 7, and don't print anything else. So, you know, if I really feel like doing that. So don't be alarmed, it's not as bad as it seems. So anyways, so starting with the package, of course, you know, you've got your cover letter, your cover sheet, and it tells you who you are and what period this is for. I do want to highlight just one quick little sentence in the middle of the page. This is for management purposes only. These are not your audited financials. Okay, the auditor at the end of the year prepares the audited financials. So those would be, you know, the Bible, if you would. These are for management purposes, and that is for your purposes as a board and for the manager's purposes. So, you know, we could actually make this a somewhat user-friendly for our specific process. The next page is, you know, we have our sister company for Service Financial, and it's the rate sheet, the banks that have agreed to work with us, and it gives you the interest rates and what have you. It really is just an informational.
Can I see that? I'm missing.
Oh, of course, you may have it.
Okay. Yeah, you know, we have, we got the portrait, not
Oh,
the
okay.
landscape version, so. who's got
Well,
some-
you may have the portrait ones, one less page I need to carry out. All right, so then the next thing is, you know, the standard financial package is always going to have your balance sheet and your income statement. You can stop me at any point in time if I am boring the, you know, Jiminy Crickets out of you. As the accountant, you know, I find balance sheets and income statements just fascinating things, so I get really excited to talk about them, but you feel free to say, yeah, I got it, move on, Debbie, I will not be offended. The balance sheet, I think it's a very important document because it really gives you the snapshot of what's going on in this association from a financial perspective. It really is the one point in time, the line in the sand that tells me how we're doing as of today, because it shows everything from the beginning of time all the way through today and what those balances are. Assets, liabilities, and then whatever's left over, your equity. So of course assets, you know, things that we own, things that we have a value, things that we could sell or convert into cash. And then we have the liabilities, which are going to be the obligations, financial obligations, monies that we owe to others, or things that we can't quite count on. In the world of HOA and condo accounting in the state of Florida, we call our retained earnings is actually generally called fund balance. So you'll see that on the second page of your balance sheet, under members' equity, it says fund balance. You may see this in your personal life, in your business, and the company you work for, the business that you have, that this is called members' equity, contributed capital, retained earnings, you know, something else. This is essentially the bottom line of how the association is doing from a financial perspective. This is no different than you and me. You know, we have our personal balance sheet. What are my assets, all the cash in the bank, what's my house worth, my car, everything else. Then I subtract from that my liabilities, everything that I owe to somebody else, my mortgage, my car loan, my student loans, whatever else, and whatever's left over, that's my equity. So that's what this represents essentially. Certainly a very healthy dollar amount for this association. Very healthy amount. And you know, at some point in time we can talk a little bit further about, you know, what that means, what it represents, but from a training overall perspective of the financial package that we prepare, I am not going to dive into the details of what this number represents for the association unless you want me to, okay? So if you have any questions or any comments, please feel free to interject. All right, now, further along with this, as part of what we do at our company and really what is done from an accounting perspective in the industry, we also practice what is called fund accounting. And fund accounting essentially is, the association it has different types of funds. You've got operating monies, and then you've got restricted monies, typically your reserves. We account for those separately. We have to account for those separately in the state of Florida. So you'll see that on the balance sheet, the first section of assets, those current assets, those are all your operating funds, your operating accounts receivable and what have you. And then the second section, it says restricted funds, those are your reserves. Those are restricted for a very specific use. So when you're looking at how am I doing from a cash perspective, we want to focus separately on the operating funds and on the reserve funds. Any questions? No? Okay, great. Then on the next report is going to be your income statement. So the income statement is going to tell us what's happening. The income statement is going to tell us what's happening on this fiscal year only. So unlike the balance sheet that tells us how we're doing today from inception through now, the income statement is a slice of the pie. It has a beginning point and an ending point. It began January 1st, is going to end December 31st, whatever the fiscal year of the association is. And I say that because I want to make sure that we are looking both at the balance sheet and at the income statement when we're analyzing the financial position of the association. So looking at the income statement only is fine, but it gives us only a partial view of what's happening. It tells us what's happening in 2014. It says absolutely nothing about what happened in 2013 and 12 and so forth and so on. And this is just one component, okay? Then on the income statement, then of course we've got our revenues, and then we have all of our expenses, and at the end of the day, do we end up with net income or net loss? Now you remember that at the beginning I said that we prepare our financials on an accrual basis. So you'll see that there really is no variance. If you look at the first line, owner assessments and reserve income, that is what's being billed to the homeowners. And the assessments here are quarterly? Monthly, okay. Okay, so every month, this is what we're billing. And you can see that we're showing you the actual amount and then the budgeted amount and then the variance. There's no variance, I mean $4, so that's rounding. So that doesn't necessarily mean that we've collected every penny. It means this is what the association has earned for this particular period. So if you wanted then to see, okay, great, well this is what we have earned, tell me then how much have we actually collected. There's a report in here, and I will point to that one in a few minutes, okay? The same thing with the expenses. All right, so you're telling me, Debbie, that these are the expenses that we've incurred, not necessarily what we have paid out. Tell me how much money we've paid. There's a report in here. But I do want to tie back the income statement with the balance sheet. So if I could get you to take a look at your balance sheet, so go back a couple of pages and look at halfway down the section of current assets. If you see halfway down, there's an account called accounts receivable, and the balance on that is $317,800 and some odd dollars. That's how much money has not been collected from homeowners. That's what's delinquent. So the income statement tells you everything that has been billed. The balance sheet tells you under accounts receivable what has not yet been collected. And these dollars are cumulative, so it's not just what wasn't collected for the month of June, it's an accumulation of what wasn't collected for June, May, 2013, 2012, balances that are outstanding right now. Then on the expense side, if you go down to the very last section of the first page of the balance sheet where it says current liabilities, and you see accounts payable, and then a couple of lines down you see accrued expenses. So we have accounts payable of $3,386. Those are invoices that have actually come in, but as of the date of the end of the month, as of June 30th, those invoices had not been paid. And it could simply be, nothing more than June 30th was a Wednesday and your checks were cut on a Thursday, okay? Then the next line, 2 lines down that says accrued expenses in the amount of $36,521. What that represents are our estimates on expenses. By the time that we prepared this financial package, there were invoices that had not yet been received as of June 30th. So they may have come in on July 1st, but as of June 30th, they had not been received, so we had to accrue for them. And there's a report in here in the package, and we'll get to that one as well, that shows you exactly what those accruals are. All right, so then, just kind of back to the income statement, I do want to just bore you a little bit more by saying that this is on an accrual basis. So revenues as they are earned, expenses as they are incurred, okay? Now this gets real easy from here on, because then the rest of the package, all other 697 pages, is backup. And you can refer to it if you want to. And it's backup pretty much for everything that you see in the balance sheet, and that's why there's so much, because you guys actually have a pretty big balance sheet. Usually my balance sheets are about 1 page long, this one's 2 pages, because there's a lot of bank accounts. And as part of the process that we do, and this is why we are pretty confident in the internal controls that we have in place, we reconcile every single bank account every single month. So many of these pages right here actually represents the backup to those bank reconciliations. So you will see that we have a reconciliation, we have a list of outstanding checks, so checks that have been issued but did not clear the bank yet. And then we have a copy of the actual bank statement. So that's many, many pages in. And then right after that, we have a report that looks like this. So you're going to have to page through 20 pages or so. Not a big chunk, but about this much. And you're going to see this report that looks like this. And at the top it says Summary Batch Report of Cash Receipts. This is a summary, it's not the detail. This is actually the summary of every cash receipt that has come in, every deposit that has gone into your bank account. So back to the question or the comment, Debbie, that's great that you guys, follow generally accepted accounting principles and you prepare financials on an accrual basis and you're telling me my revenues when they're earned, not when they're collected. That's great, but I just want to know how much money you collected this month. No problem. This report tells me exactly that. Of course, on the last page of the report. And I can tell you that for the month of June, we collected on your main operating bank account $103,451.
Where's that page at?
It's part of this summary batch report.
It's the 4th page.
Right. So it's a continuous report, and that's the last page, and it gives you a total. There's one of these for every single bank account where there were deposits. Obviously, some bank accounts don't have deposits. You're just, you're splitting your funds because of the FDIC limit, and there's no activity. But this is your main operating account. So if the question ever comes up, it's like, okay, I just want to know how much money we collected this month. This report's available. Now, obviously, this information is updated, or the financial package is prepared and provided to the board once a month. We prepare monthly financials. If you ever just wanted to know interim, we can run you this report. Your manager can run this report any day of the week, and it will update it with deposits that have come in. So there's always up-to-date information, not necessarily in the form of a financial package. We only reconcile the bank accounts once a month when the bank statements come in, but this information is available. So any transaction that happens, we can run a report for it. Then the next set of reports in the financial package, right after that one, it says AP Check History Report. And it looks like this. Multiple pages long. And this is going to answer the question of how much money did we spend? So I know you told me that the expenses on the income statement are on an accrual basis and there's accruals in there. I just want to know how much money did we actually spend? Well, I can run this AP Check History Report, which is just your check register. And I can tell you that we wrote checks, 74 of them as a matter of fact, for $120,000 in the month of June, out of this bank account. And of course, the report gives you all kinds of other good information. Who's the vendor? What's the invoice number? What was the expense GL code that was used to categorize this on the income statement? what's the amount, et cetera, what's the check number, and what have you. So there's a lot of good information in that report as well. Then the next report on the package, it says AP voucher detail report. It's very similar to the check history report. The main difference here is this is a report of all of the invoices that were processed. Some of them have been paid, some of them may not have been paid yet. So the AP check history report is your check register, checks written. The voucher detail, it's invoices processed. If everything that came in the month was immediately paid within the same month and we didn't have like a cutoff the day after the end of the month or something, the reports would be exactly the same. Okay, so it's mostly the same information, just a different perspective. And then the next set of reports, you see that it kind of repeats itself. Now I have a bank reconciliation again and another bank statement, okay? This is where we're gonna move fast. So all of these reports up to I am about this far into the packet. Alright, so all of this is bank statements and similar reports to the ones that we just went through, so I'm not gonna repeat those ones. But if you just kind of fast forward about, I don't know, a third of the way into the package, then we get into a new report. So again,
Title what?
well, you keep going until you get to something that says delinquent report. Yeah. So we're gonna get to the delinquent report. And the delinquent report is who owes me money. Again, this is another report that is updated on a daily basis. So this number may change from, today to tomorrow because payments may come in and what have you. So we're definitely, this one's updated. Again, your manager can run this report any day of the week. And this is obviously a very important report because we want to know who owes us money and we want to understand what are we doing in order to collect money. Yes, sir.
I've noticed that on your copy, it's portrait again.
Yeah.
And it's a landscape report, so you may be missing a couple of columns, that would be like over 30, over
Yes,
60,
you
over
are.
90.
So this supports the 300,000?
Exactly, absolutely. So all of the reports that you see here are support for what's in the balance sheet. So if I wanna know, okay, well, how real is this, you're telling me that I have $200,000 in this bank account, how real is this number? Well, there's support in here, a bank statement, a bank reconciliation, all kinds of things. You're telling me that there's $317,000 in delinquencies, show me the detail. It's here in this report. You're telling me that we have accruals of $33,000, show me what that is comprised of. We have a report for that. So, as I said in the beginning, I don't think that you were here yet, as daunting as this big old package seems, there's a reason for all of it being here, but you don't need to look at all of it.
No, I
You
know.
just need to know, that it's here. So you're ever having a sleepless night? You have nothing else to do, you're waiting for your kids to come home from the movies or something like that? Hey, just pull this thing, it'll put you right to sleep, but you might find it useful at some point in time.
And that's why we normally don't print it.
Yeah.
You get it electronically, and we pull out certain sections that we do put in your board package. And when we do the management report, we summarize the financials in the front, and then we include the delinquent report, income statement and balance sheet. And then if there's any other particular report that you want printed up to date, we can print that out and put in your board package. But normally, we will not print 218 pages or put together 5 packages for you.
Right.
Because it's all backed up and it's all there in your email or on the website, or you can ask Catherine or myself, and we can print out just that one report for you and email it to you.
Correct.
And it'll be up to date, and it will be in the correct landscape report for you.
I have a question. Do we get audited financials every year? Do we have an independent external CPA firm do an audit, a full audit, not a review, but a full audit?
Yes,
And what's the firm?
I'm not sure off the top of my
I
head.
think think we use Joseph Morella here, I'll have to double
Joe
check.
Morella?
Joe Morella, so we'll provide you the.
Yeah, I'd be curious.
Yeah,
So in,
every year.
Where-
It requires you
do
because
we-
we have a certain.
do we
amount.
have, I'm assuming this is, what you're showing is all online.
Yes.
Do we have the audited statements from 13?
In Connect, yes.
Yes.
Okay. So that's our starting balance for 14.
Yes.
Right, right. Absolutely, and, certainly we encourage all associations, even those that are not required by statute, to have an audit, to actually have an audit. I
assumed
always.
it was done, I just wanted to confirm, because some places just do reviews, and
Exactly.
they don't have a formal audit.
Right, right, exactly, and the statute in the state of Florida, it has different levels of requirements, so if the association has income of a certain level amount, it's only required to present a statement of income and expenses.
Right.
Another one is just, a compilation and review and then a
Right.
full audit. We always recommend a full audit,
Right.
even for those that are not required from the statute to do that. But, no, absolutely, I'm 100% with you. So the delinquency report, one thing that I like to highlight on the delinquency report, if you look at the first page or the second page, any of them, you'll see that some of these sections have headings, cleared collections, reminder notice, and so forth and so on. Those are flags, and those are flags that we internally use in our system with First Service Residential to identify the collection action, the collection status that the unit is with the association. So, for example, if a reminder notice had been sent out because somebody was delinquent and we're just sending a friendly reminder that says, hey, in case you forgot to mail your assessments, please do so now, it will be flagged in here. So you'll see that they're actually grouped by these different categories. So if you want to know, okay, well, who do we have at the attorney? Well, there's a section here that says at the attorney. This means that this particular unit is in the hands of the attorney. And once a unit has gone to the attorney for collections, we really leave it up to the attorney to pursue that, meaning that in our system, that flag means that the owner does not have online access to their account. Nobody has online access to the account except the manager who can access our accounting system directly, and of course us, the accounting group. The attorney has access to the account online so they can view it, but no estoppels can be issued at that point in time. Everything is referred to the attorney. Should the homeowner call and say, hey, what's my balance, I want to pay up, we then just happily refer them to the attorney for that. So it's always nice to have this report that tells you who's at that level.
And
Yes.
these are real numbers.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
So 317, I don't see 317,000.
Unfortunately, because you're missing the last column, I'll show it to you.
Oh, okay.
It's,
I know that's what he was saying.
right,
Unless some of these people owe a lot.
right, so you'll see down here, there's the 317,000.
Right, so but who's our biggest, how's interest income our biggest receivable? Is that, am I reading that right? You have interest income, 170,000, and it's a receivable?
Hold on, so I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Interest is 60,000.
Right, how do we have
is the
interest
maintenance.
income as a receivable? I mean,
Well, 'cause
like banks credit you straight
The
away. right?
unit owner is charged interest, just like a fee,
Oh.
late fee,
Violation.
violation fee,
Okay.
reminder notice.
And would that not be then, are you saying on your income statement as income?
It would be, it would be.
So this operating interest.
No, it would be late fee income
Late fee income.
and legal fee income, exactly. So
And
these
what-
numbers are cumulative, so some of these numbers may have happened in prior periods, not necessarily in this period. In the balance sheet,
Right.
all of these numbers are cumulative. For example, 317 is not what they owe only for charges assessed in
No,
June.
I understand, it's
Okay.
what we're saying is, of the 317 received, 230,000 of it is this collection effort of us charging you interest income and maintenance fees?
Those are your assessments.
Okay,
That actually is the assessments.
I just wanna understand
Sure.
because I don't know if it's good practice to have such a big receivable of, I mean, I guess this is collectible stuff is what you're saying. So maintenance fees, those are the dues.
Those are the dues.
So out
Exactly.
of 317, 170 are the real dues that weren't paid
Correct.
by,
But
like,
that goes back to the beginning of the association.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It can be, and obviously you've got the detail here, but it can be. So what this is telling you is, for example, out of the $470,000, this is the over 90 category. Out of the 170, $152,000 was over 90 days. So it could be from 2012, 2013, all the way up
but
now.
at what point aren't you supposed to, after 5 years, write it off? Like, if you can't collect after so many years, you shouldn't be showing it as an asset, as a.
Well, that's the determination of the board, if they wanna write that off and show it as uncollectible or bad debt, or they just write
Right,
it
but
off.
there's a rule about, because are we isn't this in our
Well, if it's-
reserve study
It
about?
hasn't been
No,
foreclosed
that's
on.
not, there's no research study on that one. So what this, there is no rule really that I am aware of
Okay.
for a write-off, with the possible exception of the safe harbor rule. Okay, so, and the safe harbor rule says essentially, when the bank forecloses,
Right.
you get 1% of the original mortgage or 12 months of the assessment, whichever is less. That is the obligation of the bank, who is the original mortgagor.
Right.
So if it's been sold, resold, and there's all kinds of litigation about that we don't need to get into, but up until that time, when we get a certificate of title that says the bank's foreclosed and it's taken over, and the association essentially is, out of recourse at that point in time, though may I say, I'm not an attorney and I do not portray one on TV either, so you would have to go to your attorney for that, because there's a lot of
Yeah, got it.
mumbo jumbo over that one, but that would be really the only time that I will tell you that there's a rule of thumb, that that's when the write-off happens, when the bank actually comes in and forecloses, and the association essentially is out of recourse.
Mhm.
Prior to that, unless the board enters into settlement with the homeowner, or instructs us in writing, and the board comes in and makes a motion, and they decide that, we're just not gonna pursue collection on this anymore, write it off.
Right.
At that point in time is when we would write it off. Other than that, it stays on the books.
Got it. But what this is saying, in the last 90 days, we have $18,000 in new debt.
Correct. That is exactly what it's saying.
And when we started, you were showing the income, we collected 109,000, but we paid out 120,000.
Correct.
So we had negative cash flow in the month of June.
For that particular month,
And-
absolutely.
And that's that's not including this, the 109 received was physical cash received.
Physical cash in the door,
Got it.
yes,
Versus
Absolutely.
the income statement would assume we're collecting this,
correct.
and hence it makes it look like we're profitable when we're actually having negative cash flow.
Well, but in a snapshot in time.
No, right, in that period of a month.
In that one period of time,
Right, the one month that we're looking at, we had minus cash flow of about $12,000. And it looks like positive cash flow because it's all flowing into these fee accounts and receivables.
Correct,
Got it.
correct, and that's why it's really important for you to take a look, not only at the income statement and specific
Right, the
reports, but
supporting
really at the
document.
entire balance sheet, because then you can look at the balance sheet and say, okay, so I looked at this sliver of the pie, now let me open up the book and actually take a look at all of it, how am I doing from a financial perspective? Yeah, but absolutely. And then you can see here, just to kind of go along with what you were looking at, so on your income statement, there's late fee interest, so that would correlate to, that charge right there.
Right.
And I don't focus so much on the aging of this, because if the month had 30 days, 31 days, it still counts 30. But all of the different types of incomes, you would see them reflected on your income statement. So
Right.
you're gonna see late fees, you're gonna see legal fees, interest income, and what have you. Now, one thing that I like to point out, and this goes along with the next report in the package, or the next report in the package, the schedule of allowance for bad debt. And I think this kind of goes to the point that you were trying to make. So we've got this $317,000 that may be, accumulated over the last 5 years, whatever it is.
Right.
And what happens when we write it off? Well, I'll tell you that from the perspective of the association, you are absolutely covered, because there is on your books an allowance for bad debt. So the rainy day fund for these people that are not collecting and that you possibly likely going to have to write off some, if not all of it, at some point in time. We've already set money aside, if you would. Every month, every year, through a budgetary process, or possibly the auditor made an adjusting entry. So when the write-off happens, it doesn't actually hit your bottom line.
It's been accrued for.
It's been accrued for, absolutely.
Jane, in the last 3 years, what would you have guessed your board's collectible percentage of billed revenue was?
Originally, when the board was working, we had close to $900,000 in receivables. So it has been reduced significantly. There was an allowance for bad debt the last 2 years of approximately $90,000, and it wasn't used.
So, as a percentage, let's say for calendar, you did the budgets for 2014. So for ease of numbers sake, if we build out $1 million, or expected to
Accrue for
gain $1
Accrue for
million
it,
in dues.
In revenue, yeah.
Just dues, regular, real-time dues. What percentage of that did you think was collectible as you created your budget?
Vicinity of 90%.
9-0.
9-0.
9-0, okay. And is that higher than it was the 2 previous years?
About the same, really, because the only thing that we really did on the accrual for the bad debt, we had bad advice from a previous accounting firm with regards to the reserve for bad debt. The first year that we wrote off, there was an accrual requested by the board, but was never posted to the account. So the accruals literally were pushes. They went to the next budget year.
So, should we kind of build an assumption as we prepare our new budget that we're gonna get about 90% of our expected revenues of current dues? Or you think it's a little higher, a little slower?
It would probably be a good estimate. We tended to be a bit on the conservative side as far as the revenue was concerned, and then looked at the expenses. The expenses, basically, because they went through the accrual in a, well, pretty conservative fashion as well, we were literally over accruing some of the expenses. We had a positive cash flow last year based on settlements and estoppels, because some of the foreclosed properties, we collected 100 cents on a dollar of all of the operating dues. We did not waive fees. And we also collected interest on those estoppels as well. So that was a positive net income revenue. We also had certificates of title, where we were collecting rent on properties from 4 tenants. Those certificates of title have been completely cleared.
David, it follows through the history. There's 317,000 in uncollected, most of which is old, and that's about 10% of your total assets. So historically, this business is running about 10% delinquency, 90% success.
So that all,
The-
that value.
But I personally, I mean, in my business, I wouldn't want to see such a high fictitious number. We as a board, I would think, put a 5-year rule, and if it's past 5 years, you write it off. If you still collect it, we don't throw it away,
Right.
but you just get it off the books. And I'm curious, when they analyze, when they do a reserve study, don't they look at your total assets, or they just look at what's in your bank account?
A research study for capital improvements in the.
Yeah, just capital, your
They don't
health
look
of
at any
the,
of that.
what do they look at?
They look at your physical assets.
The physical
assets.
Your
That's the
ca-
only thing a reserve study
Right.
does,
It
looks for
does-
physical
Your
assets.
We have replacement costs.
And replacement costs and useful life to determine how much money you should be putting away in reserves every year. So when that event happens,
To maintain
your building needs to be repainted because it's reached
Right.
its
So
7-year
it
useful life.
and it
You
says
have
how
to-
much you're supposed to have.
Yes,
And then you look to see, well, we have all that in the bank account.
But it doesn't take into consideration revenue potential.
Right.
no, it doesn't,
No.
no.
The other thing that you'll look at, the 90-plus accounts, there are only 20-odd accounts in there that occupy approximately, I'm trying to remember, they're all homeowners that never got off the blocks. They have anywhere from 5 to 8 years of accumulated, past due accounts. There were 20-odd accounts with one attorney, that amounted to, right off the top of my head, I recall, between $80,000 and $90,000.
Who's Valley Hill Investments?
Is that VP, that attorney, or is that the attorney?
KGB.
The 16, the largest single creditor, debtor that we have is 16,782 Valley Hill Investments, living at Heron Point Drive.
Well, you've got, you've got several of them. I mean, you've got Paul Schindler, 19,600.
Yeah, I don't have
You're missing
Well,
a
it's
column.
all-
Yeah.
You're
You've
missing
got
a column.
2/3 of the report when you should have 100%.
I mean,
Okay, got it.
if I could just tell you, I mean,
Yeah,
out
are
of
there
the
any-
$317,000,
Who are our,
Well,
Well-
he's a good guy down the whole report.
I'll give you this report, less pages for me to
One
carry.
million has the.
But-
Sorry.
Out of the 317, $211,000 of that is already with an attorney in collections.
Right.
And 13,000 of that are folks that are in bankruptcy, so you can't do anything about that.
right,
And there's about 40,000 that is about ready to go to the attorney, because they're in ATPs, so we need to make sure that those get
Well,
forward.
60 days in the
right,
Exactly.
right.
So I'll give you the entire report and you can,
I don't wanna steal yours.
oh no, that's fine, it's,
I'm going to make.
your
a copy.
hands are better than
Huh?
yeah.
You got it?
No,
Well, I
Our
wouldn't
treasurer
run
needs
something.
one, I know. What's that?
Well, he has email report, he has a report email, but let me give you a copy. Everybody a copy.
The treasurer needs it too.
I mean, Catherine, if I may suggest though, it's the 31st of July,
We're
right?
gonna
And
get-
that's 60 days old. You could run it now, as of today. It won't be the final for July, but it'll be pretty darn close, because you'll have everything posted through yesterday.
That's already a month old.
That's already a month old. So rather than, kill more trees with printing that report, I'd say
Okay.
print an updated one.
All right.
You can just run that out of Account Act.
Yeah, no, and we're not here to solve the business today. Today was an educational lesson, right?
Yes, absolutely. All right, but really, the good news is, what I do want to say is that if all of this goes bad today, you get CT, certificates of title from everybody today, everybody went bye-bye,
We've accrued
whatever.
for it.
You've accrued for it.
And where's that
So-
accrued account on the balance sheet?
It's on the balance sheet
Where is
under
it?
allowance for bad debt,
And that mirrors the actual,
100%.
okay.
And there's a report in the financial package, which, by the way, it's in order of how it's listed in the balance sheet, so it's just a couple of pages over. That, it's just a chronological listing of all the transactions, but you can see the total dollar amount is 317 as well. And it can tell you, if you ever wanna know, okay, well, what are actual write-offs? So you've told me what we've accrued, that's the balance left over on the accrual, great. Now tell me, what are the actual write-offs? This report actually tells you the actual write-offs. Because you'll see here, it'll say, oh, okay, adjustment according to budget, okay, great, oh, write-off, unit number such and such, certificate of title on such a date, so you can see all the different, and the dates, or the month at least, it would be the specific date, but the months in which it was adjusted off, okay? All right.
And Gene, since you were on the does the board have a policy at a certain time that you write it off? Or is it just-
Normally, what they would do, we would normally just review the past dues and, based on what the collection effort was or exactly where we stood, if we thought that it was we still had the possibility of that asset, or well, really it's a liability, that we're going to be able to collect on that liability, we kept it open. So that when it was at the attorneys, what we had tried to do was work with KGB to literally give them a specific set amount and walk away. We were never able to strike a deal with them, and in fact, I guess things are still up in the air with regards to KGB, because the majority of the accounts that they have are, we'd be prepared, or we're prepared to say, okay, let's take 70 or 80 cents on a dollar, bring it back in and give it to somebody that will either, one, resolve it, or we write it off.
Right, okay. And once you write it off, then you just forget about it, or?
Oh, no,
The
no.
collection should still
See, the
continue,
nice
right?
thing is that if the property sells, you can still recover that bad debt.
Right, right.
So the minute that there's an estoppel listed,
Right.
the estoppel will collect all the interest, all of the bad debt, plus the attorney's fees, so we are made whole. That was approximately 60% or 70% of the $139,000 surplus, operating surplus that we had at the end of the year last year.
Right.
That was literally on estoppels and COTs.
And typically, HOAs and COAs, they won't write them off because there's always that potential that unit's gonna sell until
Yeah,
that one for sure incident that the bank's foreclosed on it,
Right.
and you're left with that 1%
Yeah,
or
but
the.
when you write it off, it just cleans your paper, it doesn't mean you're giving away the debt.
Yeah.
It's still there, like you,
But then you're placing the responsibility off the ledger on somebody else to
Right.
remember
right,
and track it. And that's the only thing that I would throw out there
right.
for the board to consider, because if if the responsibility is on the attorney who's managing the case,
I got it.
great, but if you switch attorneys or, somebody, sneezes or something like that,
Well, the board also received some advice from the previous accounting firm approximately 2 years ago that we shouldn't write things off, that the attorney should direct the board. And I posed the question directly to the accountant, and I said, whose money is it? And she says, well, it's yours. I said, then we should be able to make the decision on when that is written off, point blank. And she just shut up. We ended up firing her and putting.
So how
new
many
accountant.
different CPA firms has the company had for the last?
That's to my knowledge too.
So two, so we got the new one now,
Yes,
and the old one was the one that we let go.
correct.
And that was when, a year ago or 2 years ago?
It will be 3 years with this audit,
The audit of 14.
correct. And we literally moved from writing a check for taxes to having no tax liability for the past 2 years.
Right, as it should be.
That's what you- Right.
So moving on with the rest of the financial package, and we can go in detail on any of them, but I wanna leave time for us to go through Avid, the AP system. So, just so you know, we prepay the insurance, so in this case, the insurance, let's see. Yeah, cause you're financing your insurance? Right, okay. So because it's being financed and
What do you mean
following,
we're financing insurance?
you're making installment payments on your insurance?
Okay.
Right, so you're,
Installments.
so it's financing, and you're financing it, we'll charge
Right.
a finance fee for it,
As opposed to using the cash we have to pay.
paying it all in full,
Okay.
right? So,
No,
just,
okay.
Well, right, when you have a lot of cash, I don't know why you borrow money to,
Well,
and pay
that's
interest.
news.
That's ridiculous.
I don't think we are. I
pay
think
today,
it's approved.
well,
No,
there's
but
a
that's-
package.
The bills that we're paying is approved, is the approved.
Right.
It's a
Right.
package
It's not being
insurance.
financed, it's
No.
paid monthly.
It's
We wrote a check, that was
You paid it in
a
full.
check that was written on
It's
the
just
table.
misunderstanding of the finances,
That's an accrual.
Right,
We're
and
paying
we
what
should,
we have
I
in
mean,
mind.
again, today's not about the business side of the
No,
house.
you've got a policy that renewed in June, so it's partially recorded, okay, I see that, right, cause we're amortizing it. But essentially what it is, you paid it in full, right, so you're gonna pay it in full, we're not recognizing 100% of it on the books at the time that you pay it, we're actually amortizing
Right,
it
it's
over a
all
period
through
of
the
time.
amortization.
Right, so you see it on your balance sheet as a prepaid insurance account,
Exactly.
and then it goes down every month based on the
Perfect,
amortization
yeah,
schedule.
You don't wanna
Right.
borrow money when you have it.
Yeah, exactly. The other, I'm gonna skip through some of these because these are all bank reconciliations for the reserve accounts, so same kind of a deal.
You can make a note, look at our interest rates, what we're doing on some of these.
Well, yeah, that's what, yeah, I,
0.25, 0.17.
yeah, that's normal.
Yes.
So this is the open invoice report. This correlates to the liabilities now. What I wanted to highlight for you, these are the invoices that have been received but not paid.
What's the name of that page?
Technical difficulty.
Open invoice report.
Open invoice report.
Quite a way.
After all of the bank statements for the reserve accounts,
There.
You paid before.
you've gone too far then.
Okay.
It's in the order of the balance sheet.
Yep. open invoice, and you're, again, it's landscape, and for some reason this printer is printed at portrait, so.
Yeah, and it's a one teeny tiny pager, because there's only two
Not
invoices in it.
What are you looking for?
It looks like this,
And-
it'll be portrait on your package.
Open
Portrait.
invoice report, right?
Right, so it's just to show you, this is the list of invoices that were received but not paid. And then if you actually go 2 pages further down into the package,
So this is how we pay First Service and Catherine Herron.
Well,
You're gonna
that's-
teach us today how to, this is an invoice that's come in, we gotta go into your system
Correct.
and pay.
correct, you have to approve it.
Approve it.
Exactly. And then there is a report that looks like this, accrued expenses. Schedule of accrued expenses. You have it? Okay. So this is a list of all of the charges, all of the expenses that are being accrued. And again, this ties back to the number on your balance sheet. Okay? And then the next big report is the prepaid report, which is a long report,
Got that one.
a very long report. And this is the other side of the delinquency report. So the delinquency report shows us who owes us money. The prepaid report, which is actually voluminous, is actually showing us who has prepaid their account.
With,
And with you, exactly. Who has prepaid their assessments? Now, a prepayment could simply be they overpaid by 5 cents and they have a credit of 5 cents in their account. Or it could be that they paid the July assessment on June 30th. So as of June 30th, it's
right,
prepaid.
goes on this report.
Exactly. So this is, again,
And then some people like here that they paid us 1,000, they just paid for the year. and we're
absolutely,
showing-
absolutely. They went to vacation in Fiji, so they don't want to be bothered. They paid the whole year and they'll see you back in the wintertime. Okay? And the rest of it is the general ledger report. This is really for those of you that truly and deeply want to be accountants at heart. And you want to see all of the nitty-gritty of the debits and the credits,
All GLN.
all of the GL
The
entries.
most important report in the document.
We'll make sure that you get every month. You hear that, Catherine?
Yes, I emailed them the whole report with my management report, so.
All right, so any questions on the financial package? Any questions as to what our process is in preparing the financial package?
We will
Anything-
get an email from accounting when that package is ready. The email comes to the manager and to the RD, says, your financial package for North Shore Lake Park has been posted. So when we get that email, usually the manager will do, we cannot upload that in Connect. It's only, financial documents can only be uploaded by First Service in South Florida, our accounting team, because of the checks and balances of what has to happen. But she will get it, Catherine will get it, and then she will email it to you. And it's everything, here's your financial. And then at that time, it tells you that it's uploaded in Connect, and then you have it in a PDF form that you can go through and look at anything that you want. Anytime other than that, that you wanna see an up-to-date accounting of the delinquent report, or any of the reports other than bank reconciliation, you can call up at the office or send an email that says, hey, could you run me today's delinquent report? And we can run that for you, just email it to you. So you're not having to look 30 days behind on anything that we have. We can run a series of reports for you that are accurate to that day, or to that posting of that day. Okay?
Okay, all right, good stuff. Continue on?
Yep.
All right, so let's talk about Avid. So Avid is the accounts payable system that we are using. And I'd like to just do a little training on that because this
We
is
should
the
do
system.
access it on our computer.
Yes, please. So if everybody could get online and get on the
What's
internet.
the password here for the Wi-Fi?
Capital N, capital N,
Like Nancy, okay?
yeah, North Shore 99,
North. So capital N for North Shore,
Yes.
North Shore.
and then 99.
You go to Lake Park.
Lake Heart 2, I don't know which one you're signing into.
I don't know what I'm trying to do.
Okay, so I'll give you
Yeah, Lake
the,
Heart too.
Website address?
the website address is
Unable to connect.
login, okay, sorry. The word login, LOGIN, period. Avid Exchange, and let me spell that, it's AVIDXCHANGE.net. And if you can just put it on your favorites, then you won't have to remember it ever again. We don't have thingamajiggy, right? We don't have the cable.
I can, if you want me to have mine up real quick, I can.
That's fine. Oh, they don't have computer. Does everybody have their computer?
No, everybody has HTTPS://
Yeah, I have it here, so you just.
Oh, okay, perfect. David, did you get in?
Yes, it just needs a,
So your user ID should be your email, the email that we have in Connect, that should be your user ID.
And what would?
And then
what
the-
email do you have?
RP.
Okay, RPINNA69@gmail.
And then the password,
Wait,
Is-
let us catch up with you.
okay, sorry.
So your email address, your email address.
My email address?
Whatever it is.
No, because you're gonna change it.
Perfect. Yeah, can you book that? You want that real quick for you?
they, yeah, I sent them a list of the new.
Right, so, we're gonna walk through what the generic password is, and the system will immediately prompt you to change it, so start thinking about what you'd like it to be.
Put that password?
Yes. It's capital A, VID, capital X, CHANGE, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. So it is case sensitive.
Oh, I just said, okay, yeah.
Capital A, VID.
Create your own password.
Yes.
Thank you.
And then it will prompt you.
CHANG.
And does it have certain characteristics to be valid before I pick one?
Exclamation, exclamation.
Upper, numbers, lower, save me the.
You will need
Ask
to
me before I
see,
decide.
yeah, right, let me see if it says anything here.
For mine, I had to put a number,
Gotta put a number in.
right?
Okay, I'm in.
All
No,
right,
You're gonna put your new one.
so you're in, okay,
Say,
perfect.
not now.
You gotta save it.
Alright, so now put in your new password. That'll be just for you.
Again, here you go, I think that's first.
So it's
I think that's first.
success so far? So you're in. David, are you in?
Yes, ma'am?
Okay, great. Mark, are
And
you
you gotta
in?
answer a couple of security questions, so.
Yeah,
I
Right.
have one security question.
My security question is right. Have a pending approval queue screen.
Yes, okay, perfect. So
We're almost
before we get to
Yeah,
any
does
of
everybody
that
get on
though,
the
yeah,
same-
so
we're
when
all on the
everybody's in,
homepage.
Are we done with this, phone book?
we are. Who wants it?
So you're good. Well, the new one comes out in, well,
There.
What was taking a break? Remember that collection company
Yeah.
that promoter?
Yeah.
Did any of you guys get a note from them in your mailbox? Or how did they find our addresses?
They passed a sheet around, we put it up.
And they took our addresses off the sheet? Does
I
anybody
didn't
else?
get one.
Is it because
I just got a
you
phone.
weren't physically here the last board meeting? And you didn't sign it?
Right, but they passed it out, it was, their letterhead said, you know, would you be so kind to tell us who you are?
And does anybody find that creepy? Or just-
No, that was we knew that was a sales pitch, we knew they were pitching us, and then they passed out a paper that says, how can we contact you?
No,
Okay.
You probably weren't aware of what you were filling out, but it was, right, Mark, it was on letterhead, it's, yeah, David.
I knew what it was, I knew they were gonna try to contact you.
Right, I knew they were gonna tell us,
They're probably gonna call you next.
yeah, they're coming over to the house.
like they're chocolate covered cookies or something?
No, it's a- no.
Nothing good yet.
Yeah.
So are we all there?
I think so.
Yes, we're good here.
Okay, so if you would go to my profile, the tab that says my profile, and just review that information,
Who is this guy?
right? That's what I said.
Okay.
So if there's anything, so if you go to the tab that says my profile,
Mhm.
you can review that information, make sure that it's got your name correctly spelled and all of that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Oh, smart.
And if you go to about halfway down the page where it says approval notification subscriction.
Look at it, then.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, update away, your phone numbers, what have you, whatever it is that you need to update.
Okay, got it. Now what are we doing, sorry?
I would suggest if you wanna put in your phone number, that way if something gets hung up in either Avid customer service or something says there's something pending in your queue,
Yeah,
instead
that's
of
right,
email,
I just put my phone number.
put in your phone number, and that way they can call you directly,
Right.
you know, it's always a good idea too.
Right. And if you ever have to change something, then at least you know where it is. Okay. If you go to where it says approval notification subscriptions, halfway, on the bottom half of the
Yeah,
page.
yeah, got it.
Okay, so in the system,
We're getting there in one second.
okay, we'll wait.
I'm gonna use the washroom.
We all good?
Okay, so now we're approved notification subscription, okay?
So the system will send you email notifications when there is something for you to approve. And if you don't set up a notification, it will send you one every single time something gets uploaded into your queue. So we process invoices 7 days a week. So you might be getting emails 7 days a week, and, multiple times a day and all of that. So this allows you to actually set the schedule for your notifications. You just want to, whatever your day of the week is for processing, we have checks on Thursdays. You want to set it up for Wednesdays at 1:35 in the afternoon. And it'll just send you a reminder and a link.
So we require 2 people to approve an invoice here.
Right.
Once one person does it, how does the rest of the board know that there's pending? Is there an auto reminder on that? Or do I have to call, let
No.
the other board members know there's invoices pending?
There's a workflow in the system, so it will know that it has gone to one board member for approval. You've approved it, and then it notifies the next board member that they need to go and approve it. So you do not need to pick up the phone and call anybody.
What order would that go in?
I'm not sure what order it goes in.
And then once people approve it, does it stop then?
Can we establish an order?
Can I get the bottom?
Yeah, me too.
I said first.
It's like,
I will find out.
Thank you.
for me, because I have to do approvals, I do it Monday through Friday, 3 times a day, just so I get, so I'm gonna do one.
So
what you
we're
want,
supposed to
this
put-
tells you what time you want to get the email.
Right.
So if you wanna get it at 10 in the morning.
So you can go in here, so you want to be notified.
You don't wanna
It's on
probably get it every
military
day,
time.
right? You probably wanna get it Monday.
Danny, if you said it louder than everybody.
Oh,
So we should do it more than once a week then.
Right. Wouldn't you do it every day? I mean,
Because you'll only get an email if there's one for you to approve, so every day makes sense, and you can just do it one time a day.
Right.
Or you can do it Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, because then your processing day is Thursday. Is it Thursday? So you may not want it on Friday, because you'll be able to catch up the Monday and Tuesday of the next week. So you may only want it to, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, or you may want it Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. You can choose how you want it. Or you can say none, and then that way you make sure that everybody else has to do it, and you don't have to do it.
right, somebody's got.
And if you set it up for 3 times a week and then you decide that that's too much or not enough, you can come back in here and edit it again. Okay? It is on military time, so if you want, 1 in the afternoon, then it's 1,300 hours.
Yeah.
The town will remember that.
Okay.
Okay. All right. If you decide that you need to change it, or you wanna delete the old one, then you can see that there's a
You
little
saved it,
delete
it
button,
goes
so
in
you
and
can
it
delete
says,
it.
okay, you saved it.
That's not that you wanna know, you wanna find the page.
So if you don't like it, you
You
can
let it
delete it
go.
and then redo one next time.
Okay, okay.
What did everybody pick for times?
I did 10 in the morning.
I did 6 in the morning.
Yeah,
I would say mine is.
that's why you
Well, it
and,
ain't gonna bother me, it's gonna go to my email box.
that's why you and I are successful people. And you bitch about that. I'm gonna take
Because he's buying beer, isn't he?
I'm gonna take 5:45, so I'm ahead of the fucking round.
Oh, you're good, you good.
I think that's a great idea.
Okay, so when you first log in, you're gonna land in the home page, and what you're going to see, how many of you, so if we could, I'm sorry, do you mind scrolling up so I can see, your view is different than mine, so if you could click on the home tab. Okay, so let's take a look at the home tab. If you had any pending invoices, you see where it says pending approval queue?
Mm-hmm.
They would be there.
I thought we had 2 to approve.
That was on June 30th.
Oh, okay.
That's, the financial reports are very
So who
date
approved,
sensitive.
who's been approving these?
You missed that discussion,
Okay.
and we'll catch you up.
I don't need to be, I'm glad they're approved.
Okay, so you don't have any to approve.
Okay, we're done.
No,
We should.
Jeannie, thank you for approving all these invoices.
okay, well, hold on, because I want
You wanted to show us how to
show you
approve.
how to
Yeah,
approve.
right.
Can't you put in some bill that needs to be paid?
I mean, I can't,
No,
but,
We had them in already, so
but
let
it
me
needs
see.
to be in
There's a
here.
process that we enter it, we approve it, and then it goes to the board to
For
be
approval.
approved.
And it needs a dual
And,
control.
right, we won't see it
And
anymore.
then once it's been duly approved, then what happens? Who
It
cuts
goes
the
to
check?
Accounting,
Down in Fort Lauderdale. Are you guys, where are you based? In Fort Lauderdale, right?
Hollywood.
Correct.
Okay. Broward County, okay. And someone down there cuts the check and signs on our behalf.
Our digital signatures apply to the check.
Yeah, you can sign.
And do we do any ETF?
That's almost the same thing, but they're cutting checks. I
Are we
guess.
cutting manual checks, or do we have vendors that we electronic transfer?
Mostly all cutting checks.
Okay, so we have a record.
Mhm. That's the copies that you have on the printer.
If there's nothing there, we can just search and pull up and show them how to do the workflow. I don't see anything.
Right.
I'm sure somebody's gotta be paid.
Yeah,
Well, we can go just put one in, right?
probably after we approve it, we don't see it anymore, so it goes to a different.
If
It
that
should come here.
If
It
that's
should
just
go
a
to
roll-up, if
yours,
that's just,
exactly.
you know.
So we
So-
can, oh, go ahead.
Right, so I'm sorry that I'm gonna have to show you on my computer.
Stand by yours.
Yeah, and I unfortunately don't have the same functionality that you do, so, because you're a board member and I'm not, so I'm not approving anything, but I do want to show you what it looks like. So, I am, when you go in, and it'll have a little hyperlink, so let me actually back up. So it will show up, and let's pretend this is your queue.
Right, so under here would be that link.
Exactly,
Click
so,
on it. Yeah.
right, so click on it, and this is the link for the invoice, so you would click on it.
You put invoices in almost every day?
Every day, every day as they come in.
And do you actually approve them before you put them in, or check them?
She
for-
has to
Yes,
go.
we
You
have to
check,
approve them.
you check them for quality?
Yes, correct.
Thank you.
So the manager would, all of the invoices go to Avid, they scan them, upload them, and then they put them in the queue for the manager to go in, and the manager is the one that actually goes in and codes everything, so assigns a geocode and what have you. So I'm looking at the header screen, so you can see here's the header, there's 2 tabs on the side, and it says what status it's under, it says pending approval, and it gives me the basic information, the invoice date and what have you. And then down here under distribution, in this tab, I click on that, and this one has, it hasn't been coded yet, so that's why it's not showing in the queue, but it's been coded. The manager would go in here and actually code
Let me
it,
go
with
in
the
there.
geocode and everything else.
Put one in, right?
I'm gonna put that one,
Yeah,
in. it
that's
just came
great.
up.
Okay, and then she would do that. When she saves this work, then it goes into the next process, which the next step of the process would be the board approval. Or in this case, actually, it might be,
Might be mine.
it might be Danny, it's going to be Danny's approval, so you can log in and show. But,
What is this one?
this
Catherine?
is,
That's Catherine?
right, so let me show you. So you see all of these tabs here, this is all of the information. You, under the image, you can see the PDF of it. And you can make it bigger, smaller, you can email it, you can print it, whatever it is that you want. You could save it on your desktop or what have you. It gives you all of the information.
It was $500 for, oh, I thought it said $500.
$60.
No, what's the?
GL code.
Oh, that's the GL,
That's
okay.
the GL code, so
Okay.
she would go in here and she would put that code in there. And here's the dollar amount.
$60, okay.
Exactly, and then
Okay,
there's
there's
the detail
one.
behind it.
Okay, so now you're
have
Danny's gonna approve it?
Because you entered it, he approves it, no.
Yeah, yeah,
So
the
should
bills
I-
So-
are
so
sent, the
let
bills
me-
are sent to Abbott.
Let
Abbott
me,
uploads them, they go to her, just because this particular one requires my approval, that's how quick it is, I've already got it on mine,
Okay, so I should be able to refresh my screen.
almost,
not yet.
because now it's come to me.
Right.
So, I see this invoice, I open it up, and then I will verify, you know, the dollar amounts, I'll have to make this bigger because I can't see it.
Right.
So I'll go through the same process that you guys would go to ensure, number one, the first thing I look at is what bank code. So that tells me what bank it's gonna come out of. So I always verify it comes out of their operating account, or if it's something in reserves, I make sure it comes out of the
Does it
reserve
say
account.
operating?
Can you
Okay,
click
three.
on distribution?
So you click here,
Right.
That's our name.
and it's saying that that's the entity code, that she put a GL account code. This is the default bank, so she set it up as your OB3, which is your operating account.
Right?
Correct.
There's no special handling, 100% of it is coded to this one account code.
Mhm.
If it was a receipt,
Right.
like Lowe's or somebody, and it was
Split,
several different
right.
account codes, you would see the percentage over here. So there's the amount.
And I will open three windows with different codes.
So right now, the
It's-
remaining amount is 0.
Right.
Unless she balances out to 100%, it won't allow her to proceed on it. So, okay, so go back
All
to the
this-
header, so everything matches out. I know what it is, so I'll hit approve.
Right. And you can approve and comment, meaning,
Yeah,
that was the worst coffee ever, don't buy it again.
Yes, exactly, so that's, now it's approved. Now, if you could hit F5 on your screen, it should refresh it.
Right.
F5 here, okay. There are no invoices awaiting Randall's approval.
And none online.
It came to me on Friday. Well, by the time you walked, when you walked in the door, I
Yeah,
had
it's
F5
very
in there.
quickly. Maybe,
No, that's it. It just goes toward the approval. It's this
Oh, so you don't have to approve this one?
Not this
because
one, because it's an.
it's petty cash,
Yes,
maybe.
right.
Ah,
petty
that's
cash,
why it
that's
was.
why.
Because it's petty
And
cash.
it's,
But-
it's an even.
But, so let's kind of go through this if you don't mind. Let me show you some of the other functionality because this will be available to you. So how I know that where it is in the process, I can click on this tab that says workflow. And,
Can we put
I
that
thought-
on the screen or not?
well, we don't have a cable.
I can do it real quick.
Okay.
It'll take 5 seconds.
The workflow, it's step one, when we first logged in, it said that it was, the workflow was, it was ready for coding and approval. It was in the hands of the CAM, and this status, it said pending. Of course, we've taken several steps, and I've updated, so now it's completed. Then it went to the RD approval, and it used to say pending over here, now it says completed because Danny has approved it. So you would see, if you're looking to track an invoice through the system and where it is in the process, you can always go here to this workflow tab, and it will tell you where it is in the process. History, it tells you what has happened. When was this invoice received? So it actually, it was received via email, when it was received on July 30th at 10:38 a.m. So it gives you really all kinds of information. How long did it sit in the queue? How long did it take to have it coded and then approved by the RD and what have you? So it gives you a lot of really good functionality. Now, let's say, for example, that, of course, it's approved already, so I don't have that. But let's say that you wanted to ask a question. Let's say that you received, where is
I
it?
have to turn around.
plugging yours in?
We'll plug yours in, tissue, bro.
How much more is there?
Not much more. It's
I
pretty.
don't think we need it, no, I'm just saying, I don't think we need it.
I just had a hard time seeing that from leaning over here. He's gonna be fishing on me.
Can you turn off the light, Mark, please? Oh, that wrong direction, there you go.
Okay, all right, can you see that?
Yeah, you should have your little focus.
Another one of my glasses.
That's fine.
You can put it up. Okay.
Hey, you just.
There you go.
There it is. More?
No, that's fine, you don't need to see the
Okay.
bottle, is,
Nice to meet
Okay,
Okay,
so,
good.
so let's say that, for example, you, had a question on this. You're not ready to approve it, you know, we're not gonna dispute or anything, we just wanna know what this is for. You can actually go here under log comment, you see where it says send to? You can enter an email address here, so you could send it to your manager, you could send it to another board member, you could send it to Danny, whatever.
And say, look at this,
Exactly, and you would
$67,000
just,
for a chain link fence.
And does this go to does this, will this remember, email addresses?
Yes.
yes.
See, Lucy Dobbs is in
I don't
there.
know who Lucy Dobbs is, but
But I
yes.
remembered her.
There's Danny Ellis, so I can send him an email, and then the beauty of it is that when I send this,
Just tell them the coffee was terrible.
and then I do submit. Yes, yes, yes. Now I can go into history
And see that you
and
told
see that I added a comment, I sent an email to Danny saying this is a test.
Good.
Alright, so at any point in time, anything that happens on this invoice, we can absolutely track it. So it's like, oh no, I just got it yesterday. Well, no, you didn't get it just yesterday. I can see in the comments here that you got it, you know, whenever, and so forth and so on. Or you can see what the conversation has been. It's like, I'm not ready to approve this until I get a purchase order.
And then there's a check cut to you?
Yes.
Okay.
And
For that one.
So you get an initial annual check?
I get a medical pay and I get a bank and I have my petty cash receipts.
So,
That's everything else.
And the approval of it is actually very simple, you just kinda click on it, and I can't show you because there's nothing for me to approve, but, you know, when Danny did it, you could see all he does is just click approve or approve a comment, and if he had multiple invoices, and you were ready to approve everything, you don't actually have to go into every single one of them unless you want to. It's got the little box on the side, and you could just click all of them and submit all at once.
Danny, in our contract with you, do we pay you a flat management fee, or do we pay you like a per check processing fee? So on this $100 petty cash or $60 petty cash, do we pay for service a processing charge to cut a check?
No.
Or does it all fall into our umbrella
That's correct.
agreement? Okay.
Where are all these agreements?
It's the agreement,
Between us and First Service?
it's just one contract agreement, it's in your, Connect, I can print out a copy
Yeah,
for you. You
I
can
know
get
it's
it.
showing me how to use Connect, so.
Okay. All right, I can make sure, Catherine can make sure you get that, but it's a
No, I
document.
don't
Connect.
need the, I would like to see the
We
Connect.
can do that when we-
Where is this?
when we wrap
That's
up.
in Connect.
Yes.
So when we wrap up today, finish
Yeah.
up
Right.
Yeah.
with AP, we can look at Connect for a minute.
Have you been in there yet or no?
I have, but through a little bit of help.
Right, right. So that'd be a good training.
When did you learn how to do that?
When we were trying to, we wanted the board minutes to be on our website. Our website links you to Connect to look at the board site, but I think it's important for the homeowners to look at as much as they can on our website without being redirected to it. Also, like the lawsuit was referenced on Connect, but it should be on our North Shore website as well. Our residents should have as much domicile information
I
on
have
our
that,
website.
that's what I brought.
Yeah, actually, I was in the process of actually just tweaking it, so it was just, you know, for board, so it's
Yeah,
not
so
40
once that gets
pages.
done, we can provide
Yeah.
that to them.
So that was the training, basically.
That's it.
If go into there,
You
look
get an
at
email.
it, approve it, or comment on it,
Right.
approve it, or
The
not.
beauty is when you get the email, it has a link right
Yeah.
above it. And you can just
Okay.
click on that link and
It'll
it'll take
take
you to
you
that website,
Right.
Right, log in, and then.
log
approve.
in, and it's right there.
And then you can approve all of them
You
at
can do
once.
approve, or you can do approve next, if you wanna write
Right.
comments, it's,
Right.
Yeah.
it's really.
And we should agree who the first two people
Oh,
are,
find out.
you know,
You should
because.
be one of the first two.
this issue, you're president.
Well, typically, you're the treasurer,
Yeah.
you should be aware of the checks. You know, you should be one of those two, either the first approver or the second approver,
You should be the first.
or the last, either way.
First.
Well,
I don't see what difference it's gonna make.
yeah.
No, it doesn't, it's just,
For August, I'm gonna be really busy. If you can.
yeah, no, I mean, I guess we'll all do it together, but it's just the idea, the nice thing is if one guy's always seeing the checks,
Hey, how
then
are
they
you?
see if that's something looks odd. Because if I don't, you know what I mean, if I don't approve it that often, I'm just approve, whereas
But my issue,
it doesn't look like right, and then you're like, wait a
my
second.
issue is the time is on the tax
Who goes
committee.
first?
I don't have
How does
any,
it
I've seen
work?
the
What's
time.
the order?
So if somebody looks at it and it's kosher
Who goes
and
first?
approvable, I don't wanna go
And
back
how
and
would
go,
they do
hey, what's this charge for a long distance, when I have enough
Okay.
on my plate.
No,
But
no,
I will
no.
say
And
for
then
construction
if
items,
there's five
maybe
board
we let
members, but
paper
only two of them do
approve those.
do all five
maybe
of
for
them
things
get
involving
emails?
banking
Notifying them?
and deposits.
And how many checks are we talking in a week?
It's a pretty good stack of checks.
Quite a bit. Those are-
24, maybe,
Oh, that's
I mean,
Yeah.
Are
as
we-
they come in, we
So, you
process.
know, we should establish it.
Right. Have you approved? Maybe, it depends,
It
each
depends,
way.
it depends upon what part of the
Okay.
month.
Okay,
You're talking
perfect.
about,
And then
You could have 40 invoices at the
one,
beginning of the
and
month,
then go, once that person
and
exceeds the
12 or
20,
15,
you just need to let you know.
towards the middle and the end.
When you put a check in, do you put down a reoccurring vendor? Like every month we pay so much for
Uh-huh.
gate? Would you code that as a reoccurring vendor, a regular?
Right, it's under the category, or we
It does
have a GL code for that specific contract, and, landscaping, so that.
But like a reoccurring, so try to show you and whoever we pass it on to, this is a reoccurring, every
Right.
monthly
We
charge,
have-
as opposed to something that's out of the ordinary, that takes more scrutiny.
So I have an answer.
Just make a note.
Okay.
About the queue, so we just need to let the team know that sets up the order of things, who wants to be one, who wants to be two in the order of approvals of notification. And
Right,
also,
and if we leave it alone, everybody's gonna get notified,
Right.
and it's whoever gets.
and it's whoever gets to it first, exactly. And let me show you something else also, since
That
there's
might not be-
multiple.
That might not be so bad either.
Right, otherwise we might be tripping up on each other in a sense. If someone else, if two of you got to it before us two, then it gets done quicker, because by doing 1, 2, 3,
Well,
the rest of us may not even know that Don's not even got internet.
Right, so if a construction invoice comes in, I'm not even gonna look at it, I say, John, look at this first, make sure it's right.
Well, right, we would do that, we all get notified,
Yeah.
but will you know when you get the email, does it say roughly what it is, or no? Or
No,
just
it
says
says
you have,
you have
something to
invoices pending for approval.
Right.
right,
But
so
you
you,
have-
I mean, you can
It
view it without approving it
It
though.
takes 30 seconds
Right.
just to open it up.
so if I could though, also one other thing, and let me show you, because I do think that it's probably more efficient if we designate who the approvers are going to be, so there's no, oh, somebody else is gonna do it, I don't need to go do it, and then we miss the payment. So actually designate who are the two board members that are going to approve. Everybody can be set up as a board member with view-only access, so you have the same functionality, but you're not expected to approve. And then select two board members that will have the responsibility of approval. And then, let me show you this really cool
Do
feature.
both-
We would
both
have-
two people have to approve a bill?
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
So
so
we
then you
want-
better leave everybody, because
Yeah.
there's too many of us
All
that
of
are
us
always
travel.
are moving around.
I completely agree.
And then we just
Okay.
all have to realize, we gotta check it.
So the other thing is though, so a couple of other things, and let me just show you this particular functionality. In the system, you have the ability to proxy your rights to somebody else if you're on vacation, just taking a break, whatever. You have the ability to proxy to somebody
Let's
else.
have all five.
Just leave it alone.
All
If
of
we leave it alone, it's already set the way we need it. Because
Okay,
if I,
then
because
you-
we travel too
okay.
much, and if I know I'm going to Fiji, that's an easy, I'll proxy it. But he'll be gone a day, I'll be gone a day, 2 days, or whatever, and it's gonna be more of a pain to proxy my
Okay.
thing for that day. By the time it gets proxied over, I'll be back. So we'll
I
just,
think all five is fine.
and we'll just,
Okay.
and if we start
Fair
tripping
enough.
on each other,
And we're all good with that, all five?
Yeah.
yeah, we'll get all the emails,
Okay.
and then we'll just try to get to them each day, and then if not, someone hopefully else did.
Do we need to make a motion for that, Danny?
No.
No, we're set
Just-
up.
no, it's set up
We
for
leave
that,
it.
it's set up for that. So let me just show you you something real quick. If you go under the workflow tab and you go here to assign an ad hoc approver, let's say that you got to it first and you're just too impatient and you don't want to wait, you want to definitely assign it to Mark. You can actually go in here and assign an ad hoc approver. This is a one-time specific to this invoice, and I can click on this and I can put in the email address of my ad hoc approver. It's going to send an email to them saying you've got an invoice out there to approve, and it sits on their queue. It's now their responsibility.
Like a construction, if you say
Yeah.
you wanna look at it, but you wanna make sure John's the one, then you just assign your approval to John and
Right.
it'll sit in his queue.
But right now, default is we're all.
Yes,
Right.
I just wanna show you the functionality of the system, and then
So,
under,
I'm sorry, so let's say I ad hoc assign it to John, he looks at it and says this is spot on.
He'll approve.
But then do I lose my ability to go back and be the second approver if
No.
I assign it?
no, no.
It just needs two
And
separate
like, for
people.
example, you know, if the manager, there's an invoice and it's for, I don't know, some plumbing repairs, okay, then she doesn't really, is too familiar with it. She can ad hoc it to the maintenance supervisor and say, hey, you know, I don't know, Mary Jane, please review and make sure that this is, okay.
Yeah.
Bad example, but
Yeah.
we-
Yeah.
Good,
Yeah.
okay, so we got that.
And, you know, a girl can be a maintenance supervisor too.
Well, there's a girl, yeah.
There's one there pending due to the fact that we have the copier equipment and we don't have a GL line item. So GL is going to set it up where we can apply it to the correct code.
GL.
Correct, so that's their one pending.
Right, and
We're
then
waiting for that code.
the other functionality for the proxy, you know, I'm going on vacation for the next 30 days, don't bother me. I'm gonna proxy everything. You go to my profile, you go under proxy approver, you say who it is, and you can actually put dates. Alright, so it begins on this date and it ends on this date. Make sure you save it, and now then that person then has the responsibility, so your notifications go to that person and so forth and so on. So you kind of get bypassed in that process. You always have view access to it, and if you wanted to know the status, you can go into that history tab under the invoice and see, you know, where it is in the process,
Do we
okay?
have access to the reports too, print reports?
No.
We do.
That's in Connect. Connect is,
Well, Avid produces reports
For us internally, just so we can manage the efficiency of the queue and everything else. Yeah.
And we shouldn't have to code anything, we should be.
You should not have to code
We do it.
anything. Yeah, absolutely. The manager would code. It should go to the manager before it goes to anybody else.
And I'll tell you, when it comes to me and it's not coded, I don't code it, I send it back to the manager. Whenever that happens, because they should know their budget, they code directly to the budget, it's not, you know, my job to look up.
that's their.
Yeah.
Now, I can at a glance say if it's, okay, that is the right code, because, you know, I know generalities, but if it's specific to that property, I'm not gonna.
And where is our general ledger legend?
It's your budget.
Your budget.
Your budget has geo codes on the left
So
side of
we
it.
only code to the budget.
Absolutely.
Right.
Unless you have something that you didn't budget for and you want to see it
Like
under
an
a
extraordinary item.
Exactly,
Like the copiers.
like an
That's
extra,
why it's
if you
here.
wanted to, you know, obviously,
But most everything should code.
Absolutely.
yes,
99.9%.
For
absolutely.
example, I can code that one to office supplies, but I want to reflect it in the correct category for budget purposes.
For 2015.
Exactly, so that's why it's in
It's
there.
a discrepancy.
Correct.
Okay.
Good.
Anything on average? All right, let's take, can you go and connect real quick?
Yeah, I would love a Connect session.
Oh, well, I will defer to somebody else for your Connect session. I can show you my Connect view, but I don't think that my Connect view is.
So that's a different website.
Good, hey, before we go into tonight, we have one more thing on the board.
Yeah, so, but if you're done, Avid Financial, she's done, she can get back up there.
Yeah.
Good, hey,
Before we lose all our cookies.
hey, Don, in regard to the board conversation from this morning, I looked up and on 6/26, Catherine requested new bank signature forms. And it took all the way from 6/26 to Monday for them to come. That's how long it took, almost a month, from the bank to send us new signature forms.
Understood.
So
And they're here.
And I don't know if that, you're the banker, I don't know if that's common, Randall's the banker.
Well, I
Randall, before
can't
you-
answer that, I don't know exactly, how many, different bank situations, well, there's like 14 accounts as I recall.
Yeah, so,
But the signature cards coming or arriving, 30 odd days, some of that could have been requested in advance, all right? That's the one thing. The other thing is a phone call to any of the other directors for approval of the invoices and presentment of those invoices, and then utilizing a valid signature to pay those invoices. I would say that any of the directors would have done that, including myself.
well, I understand, so make a note to reflect that on 6/26, new bank signature cards were requested, and they arrived on whatever this last Monday's date was. And we had discussed some of this with Rose at the last board meeting, and she didn't seem to take any exception to it. She knew the old signature cards, right, Danny? The old
Well, it's
signature
all
cards.
digital, so.
Right, see, before you came in, Gene made a point that we were still using the old signatures.
Well, and they're invalid signatures. They're not the appropriate signatures based on the electronic signatures.
So how'd they get that?
Allegedly, because of our comments, but
Well,
we've already addressed it.
basically, I gave you an explanation how I sign signature cards, how I sign various other things. And I literally was in a situation where the signatures for specific documents are different. So, but I authorize none of it.
And it's now being fixed. It's now being fixed.
With the signature cards and depository resolutions, yes, they would be.
Okay, so I make a motion that we update and sign all new bank signature cards, which we have available today for everybody. So Catherine will give you the protocol, including producing your driver's license and social number.
No social, just the driver's license.
No, it needs a social.
It does? What?
Yes, if you
Yeah.
look at it, it asks for,
I think that's part of the homeland security.
Yeah,
That's
any
what-
bank
It
would.
doesn't say here that,
Yeah, I think it does.
okay, sorry.
And she needs a copy of your DI.
Social security for
number,
signer.
$200.
Okay, so we'll do it next time. Yes,
Why you guys?
okay, so we'll put it next to it.
I know, but what did you say? What did you
Okay, here it is.
They want to see a copy of your email.
Well, it's gonna be sent to the corporate office. Good
Come
lord.
say this AD meeting.
I don't wanna do it once. There's a motion on the table.
Let's take care of that today. Okay. And I can have
Who's second motion?
Bakers, you already got Bakers,
You did?
right?
Okay. I have John's and I have yours, I just need, and then I'll come back and get your social.
Now she got it all, got our IDs and our socials.
So, do I have a motion to approve the bank account?
Do we have, a
Yes.
motion?
second.
Yeah, I make the motion, you second it.
Do we have a second? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any discussion? Motion carries.
So what's this connect?
That's the core of this, of our.
It's all of our accounts receivables. Certainly the core of our, and
Not just
data.
the account receiver, should be this entire document.
It's the proprietary operating system.
It's the storage of that document. But that document is produced from accounts receivables and then also through our payables, which is added in CAMAC.
Correct. But you said it also has our contracts and everything?
Right, so we use Connect also for storage of all of our documents.
So it's the database of everything we have.
So we have, we have all the owners set up as members, and they have a login and password to get in Connect, so they can see the member portion,
Their part, yeah.
their part, and then there's also board access. So as I go into Randolph's, I see that he does not have a passcode on his.
I don't-
He can't see that, but I can. So I need a 4-digit code. Normally I always put it 1, 2, 3, 4, So then the very next time you go in, you can make it whatever 4-digit code you want.
So where am I going? Connect, my Connect?
I'll show you the email address in just a second, but because I have your personal information, I don't have it on the screen.
Yeah.
And I'll put it on the screen in just a minute.
Don't
So,
have much of me except my name.
right, but